dissolution of attachment, mastery over desires, discipline of the senses, self-restraint are some of the things that every yogi, whichever path he follows to God, needs. The Jnana Yogis also need that. The devotees following various paths also need the general spiritual knowledge. However, the Jnana Yogis, or those walking the path of knowledge, need more detailed knowledge of his spirituality, the nature of God, soul, and the universe, and their interrelationship. This knowledge, specifically tailored for the Jnana Yogis or the knowledge yogis, has been meticulously presented in the 13th and 14th chapters of the Bhagavad Gita by God. For now, let's take a look at what God has to say on that profound knowledge presented in the Bhagavad Gita, more specifically for the Jnana Yogis or those who walk the path of knowledge. God tells Arjuna that this physical frame, the body, is technically called Kshetra or field, and the soul residing inside the body, which knows the body, is technically called Kshetragya, the knower of the field. Field and the knower of the field. These two distinct entities are variously called by God at different places in the Bhagavad Gita as Prakriti and Purusha, Deh and Dehi, body and soul. Jnana or spiritual knowledge are the key to liberation is generally known to people who are studying the Bhagavad Gita. But what is this spiritual knowledge? You will find a number of independent views on this. Very confusing, confounding, sometimes illuminating. But why to go for the others' views? Why not ask God to specifically define what knowledge is? He very succinctly defines what knowledge is that leads us to liberation. He says in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Kshetragya yor jnanam, yattaj jnanam matam mama. The knowledge of Prakriti and Purusha, body and soul, if one understands it fully, he has acquired the spiritual knowledge that leads to liberation. One will find the knowledge of the two distinct entities and their interrelationship contains all the seeds and secrets of why we suffer in the world and why we have to face one reincarnation after another and to suffer again and again. In this knowledge of the interrelationship of these two distinct entities also lies the profound secret of how one can disentangle oneself from the recurrent cycle of birth and death and the ensuing suffering. The Prakriti and its gunas, which bind a soul to the material existence, to the universe, are also laid bare in detail in these two chapters.